Madam Chairman, I rise today in opposition to H.R. 5116, the America Competes Reauthorization Act. Madam Chairman, I support efforts to invest in science and technology. In these tough economic times, we must look ahead and recognize the necessity of research and experimentation in developing new products and improving existing ones. If the U.S. wants to remain a leader in technological innovation, it is imperative that we invigorate investment in private sector innovation so that we can expand our global leadership in high technology and spur greater economic growth domestically. As a former chairman of the House Science Committee, I understand the importance of promoting policies that strengthen America's technological leadership and recognize the endless economic benefits when innovation takes place. However, once again, we are seeing the majority ignore rising deficits and continue on the path of reckless spending. As some of my colleagues have already noted, this legislation includes $22 billion in new funding over this year's base. Our national debt stands at $13 trillion, and our deficits are up 50% over the past 3 years. The majority cannot continue to pile the debt upon our children and grandchildren. It strikes me as odd that we are ramping up funding for this act when the program that it funds are only starting to be implemented. Without having the opportunity to perform proper oversight to know which programs are effective and which are not, it appears that we are simply here today to throw another $30 or $86 billion at the wall to see what sticks. The legislation before us goes beyond basic research and development activities. It creates several duplicative and unnecessary programs. Take, for example, the creation of the new Energy Innovation Hub program. The administration's fiscal year 2011 budget included funding for a hub on batteries and energy storage. However, budget documents indicate that there are at least 5 other DOE programs which conduct similar energy storage R&D activities. Unfortunately, this is not the only example of a proposed hub that appears to duplicate existing R&D efforts. Additionally, this legislation not only dramatically increases spending, but shifts the focus of the original America Competes Act of basic research, the increased spending on later stage technology development and commercialization efforts. I do not believe that the government ought to be in the business of picking winners and losers. However, that is exactly what the provisions of this legislation attempt to do. Throughout the legislation, there is an emphasis on climate change research and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. It troubles me to see in a competitiveness bill the prominence of reducing greenhouse gas emissions as a policy objective. This legislation effectively seeks to prohibit the pursuit of technologies that would advance energy independence through expanded supply or production of domestic energy resources. In order for the U.S. to continue to compete and to be an innovative leader throughout the world, we must ensure we devote the proper resources and incentives in basic research and development. However, this legislation is not the answer. I urge a no vote on this bill and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. Gentleman from